It was a patchy 2021 for the Manchester Originals women, but they brought in some new names and they look world class in places. But will they outclass the rest? Find out. Squad preview coming up next. Welcome to the 100 Club. My name is Tom and I'm joined by Rich for another of the women's squad previews ahead of the 2022 edition of the 100. And if you are new here, welcome. It's great to see you. If you like what we do and want to see some more squad previews, then hit the subscribe button down below and treat yourself and treat us too. Rich, we're going to do the Manchester Originals. What do you think? What do you remember of the Manchester Originals women's squad in 2021?
Well, I remember seeing them in that very first game of the tournament down at the Oval. A nail-biter that they narrowly lost to the Oval Invincibles, who went on to win the tournament, and thinking that they weren't that bad a side that evening. But ultimately, it didn't really work out for them in 2021. So I'll be interested to see if 2022 fares any better.
Yeah, fifth in the group stage overall with 3 wins, 4 losses, and a no result, thanks to the rain of Manchester, I think. So they've got some improving to do. Let's put it that way, and let's get that squad right up now.
And I think those 3 wins basically came at the end, didn't they? I think they started 0-4, and then sort of had a bit at the end when they were already eliminated. But they showed some signs of life.
Northern grit.
Indeed.
Okay, who are they working with? Well, some returning faces right up the top there in Lizelle Lee, who's clearly recently hung up her South Africa boots, but still a very fine cricketer who had a good 2021, I would say, and is going to be an important part of their success, I think, if they have any in 2022.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story, Tom. I don't know if you've been following this one. Essentially, Lizelle Lee failed what was called a fitness test by the South African Cricket Board, or Cricket South Africa, as they CSA, in May, I think, and was basically put on notice regarding her fitness levels, because she's always sort of been a larger player, as it were. And they ultimately came to the point where they threatened what they call the notice of compliance, which means that players can go and play in overseas leagues. They said, well, if you don't shape up, we're going to cancel your ability to go and play in the 100, which they can do under centrally contracted players. So she said, well, I quit international cricket for the 100, essentially. The 100 and the Big Bash League. This is serious money for women international cricketers. And it was more important to her to have a 100 contract than to risk that than to carry on playing for South Africa. So, interesting development in the women's game.
Yeah, well, she's a top paid player in the 100 at £31,250 for 4 weeks' work. That is good money, and clearly been topping it up a bit with the South Africa series when she's been stepping into the Test match special box as well for a bit of radio commentary as well, which I've enjoyed. She's been really good. Partnered alongside by Emma Lamb, who I think underperformed a bit in 2021, despite all the promise and the England experience that she has.
Yeah, but it hasn't held her back in terms of international career. Obviously, she's done incredibly well in the other domestic tournaments, the Charlotte Edwards Trophy, the Rachel Hare Flint Trophy as well, and then obviously getting into the England squad, and earlier this summer, getting into the England team and getting her maiden international 100 last month against the South Africans.
Yeah, she's definitely in form, and I just want to see a bit more in 2022. So let's keep the fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, and not easily impressed, are you?
I like good cricket, Oh yeah, so there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
In at 3, we have a player who's made a move from the London Spirit, I think, in Deandra Dalton. And also another person who's pulled out of the international game recently, right?
Yeah, there seems to be a bit of an emerging theme, the Originals, international retirees. But no, Deandra Dalton is obviously on her day, one of the better all-rounders in world cricket, in women's cricket. Shame that she won't be playing for the West Indies. Again, sort of a slightly
weird,
odd resignation note that was posted, sort of about not being able to sort of fully fit in with the team environment. So you wonder what's going on culturally there. But no, a fine cricketer, and I think the good pickup for the Originals. She played for the Spirit last year. Due to sort of, I think it was a shoulder injury, I think, Tom, she was able to bat but not bowl. I don't know if she's fit again to bowl this time around, but obviously it will be very useful for the Originals if she can.
Yeah, and quality is quality, and we'll look forward to seeing that. And then I think we might have got a bit of an error going on here with Ellie Threcold at 4. Could be Cordelia Griffiths at 4, and maybe Ellie Threcold a bit lower down, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Cordelia Griffiths will bat higher than that. She's a bit more aggressive. I mean, Ellie Freckle's a good bat, but goes a bit slower. So I think they'll probably keep Cordelia Griffiths a bit higher up. Bat her at 4 and Freckle at 5. And Freckle will keep Wick.
Yeah, almost bordering on a specialist keeper for me, Threcold. So we'll see how that goes. And then to complete the trio of slightly odd overseas international circumstances, you've got Amy Satherthwaite, the New Zealander, in 5 here, who, again, isn't playing for the New Zealand outfit at the moment because they wanted a younger, more dynamic outlook. But at the moment, she would easily walk into that team if they hadn't turned their back on them, right?
Yeah, but as yet has not retired from international cricket.
No.
But no, a very fine player. And obviously they had Mignon de Pries last year in that slot, who's moved on to the Trent Rockets. So, interesting selection there by the originals.
Yeah, I mean, Satherthwaite's played 111 T20 internationals, so knows her way around a cricket pitch, that's fair to say. And left hand, off breaks, all round, really good option there for the originals. And then when we get into the bowling lineup, you have perhaps number 1 bowler in the world, right, in Sophie Ecclestone.
Oh, yes. Such an ace in short format cricket. The left arm spinner, but a slightly different kind of left arm spinner than you normally see in women's cricket, in that she's bowls quite flat in the T20 format. Generally bowls over the wicket as well, so it tends to spear the ball into the pads. Very difficult to get away. So she's either very economical, or if teams do try and take her on, she takes wickets. So that's why she's the best in the world at this. And basically, that's 20 balls of the innings that's going for no more than 18 runs, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think Laura Jackson will be similar, very economical bowler. They can really strangle in innings, those two. And Kate Cross, well documented, star of the game as well, with proven quality. Bowls a quicker line, will be their wicket taking option, right?
Yeah, and she'll captain the side as she did last year. Has a bit of a point to prove as well, because I mean, it's been fantastic in the ODI format for England over the last kind of few years. Featured in the Test match as well, taking the new ball after Catherine Brunt and Agnes Shrubsole retired from Test cricket, but hasn't been a mainstay of the T20 side. And I know she has aspirations to do that for England. So the 100 really gives her an opportunity to really make the case as to why she should be in that T20 side as well as the other formats for the national team.
Yeah, some interesting names on the alternative, or the bench, as you were. In Mahika Gower, they have a 16-year-old UAE international, which is a great growth of the grain point. But have you seen anything of her cricket?
No, not familiar with her. So I think it'd be an interesting one to see if she gets on. But I noticed from your graphic, she doesn't qualify as an overseas. Is that right? Is that through passport or something? Or
yeah, I think so. Dual nationality.
Because the 4th overseas is an interesting one in the New Zealand bowler, Lea Tahuhu. Now, in quite a few other teams we've seen, there's sort of 3 standout overseas players, and then sort of a 4th kind of, who's sort of nominally going to be the backup. Whereas in this case, I can see a real fight between Sathethwaite and Tahuhu to get into the starting 11, because I think Tahuhu would just give them a different option. One of the quickest bowlers in women's cricket.
Yeah, well, they might want to sort that one out at home, given they're married to each other. But I'm sure it'll all end up well. And you know what? It's a great option and a great problem, as they say, rich man's problem for the coaching setup there. Although I say that, it's Paul Shaw this time, who I think was the coach last year, wasn't
it?
Yeah. So he'll have a good grip on things. Big question though is, Rich, can they beat their 5th place of 2021?
No.
Not sure. No, okay.
No, I don't think so. I think that they've got a largely settled squad from last year. Other teams have really bolstered in terms of their overseas who they brought in, especially with the Australians arriving. There's no Australians in this side, so I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge for them. That said, if they can take that momentum that they had from the back end of last season, then they could be competitive. And it's a very short season, only 6 games. So I could be completely wrong, but for me, I think they look marginally weaker on paper.
Okay.
They
Well, I
were
think
last year, and especially, and they lost Harmanpreet. They had Harmanpreet Kaur last year, who's one of the best in the world. So, yeah, I don't know about you, slightly weaker, right?
Well, I think the strength is in the bowling lineup for me, and some of the other teams are almost the opposite. So it'll come down to the strength of what they can do with the ball in hand. But maybe you're right. Okay, Rich, good chat with you. But clearly, if you're watching this at home and disagree completely, then let us know down below. We want to know how you would line up the Manchester Originals, and if we're underselling them in 2022, that would be good to hear from you. Until our next squad preview, we'll say goodbye for now and catch you next time here on the 100 Club.
Cheers.